today we're going to be talking about the midpoint formula. The midpoint formula is m equals x1 plus x2 divided by 2, comma, y1 plus y2 divided by 2. The m stands for midpoint. The x1 and the y1 are a coordinate, and the x2 and the y2 are the second coordinate. You're finding the average of the x's and the average of the y's. There are steps that you have to take in order to find the midpoint, and I'm going to show you multiple ways to find the midpoint, but the first way is by using the formula, and we're going to talk about the steps that you're going to use to solve. You should be writing all of this in your spiral. Okay, you should label your points. That's the first thing you should do. So by label, I mean you would do a x1 or a y1, a x2 or a y2. And in some cases, the midpoint x and the midpoint y. Step 2 is to plug in the given information into the midpoint formula. So whatever information you were given after you labeled, you would plug that into the formula. The third and final step is to solve for the unknown variable. So whatever you have left over that is unknown, that is what you would solve for. So we're going to do a couple examples together. So example 1. So example 1 says J is the midpoint for AG. A is located at 2, 3, and G is located at 12, negative 3. Find the midpoint. Alright, so realize sometimes you do need a diagram in geometry. So I'm going to do a little diagram so I can understand that A and G are on the end, and it says J is the midpoint, so it's like that. And they tell me that A is at 2, 3, and G is at 12, negative 3. Okay. My first step says that I am supposed to label my points. Since these are neither one of these are the midpoint, this would be my x1, y1, x2, y2. Since after I label my points, then I'm supposed to plug in the given information into that formula. So I'm going to bring the formula back up just for a second. So the formula is M equals x1, which is 2, plus x2, which is 12, divided by 2, comma, y1 plus y2, divided by 2. I didn't have enough more room on that page, but you're still writing on the same page. Alright, so we have 2 plus 12 divided by 2. So we have 2 plus 12 divided by 2, so that'll be 14 divided by 2, comma, and then we have 3 plus negative 3 divided by 2, so we have 0 divided by 2. 14 divided by 2 would leave us with 7. 0 divided by 2 would leave us with 0. And that would be my final answer. Okay, example 2 is E is the midpoint for KS. K is located at 10, 13, and E is located at 1, 0. Where is S? So again, I do suggest you draw a picture. So E is the midpoint for KS, and K is located at 10, 13, and E is located at 1, 0. So what do you notice different from this one, from the last example we did? You should notice that if they're not both endpoints this time, you have an endpoint and a midpoint this time. Okay, so I'm going to show you 2 different ways to find the same answer, and you will have to choose which one works best for you. Alright, so I'm going to erase this so I can have more room. So we're going to use the formula way first. So I'm going to put the formula up here again. Alright, so 10, 13 is an endpoint, so this is my x1, y1. And the 1, 0 is my midpoint, so this is my midpoint x and my midpoint y. So when you have it this way, you do have to write it a little different. You still use the same formula, but you're going to separate it. So my midpoint x was 1. So 1 equals x1 plus, I don't know what x2 is, divided by 2. And midpoint y, 0, equals y1 plus y2 divided by 2. So then I'm going to solve. So I need to find x2 and I need to find y2. So to get rid of divided by 2, I'm going to multiply by 2 on both sides. And it cancels over there. Multiply by 2 over here, so I'm left with 2 equals 10 plus x2. And then to get rid of the 10, I'm going to subtract 10 on both sides. So I'm left with negative 8 equals x2. Over here, I'm going to do the same steps. To get rid of divided by 2, I'm going to multiply by 2 on both sides. So I'm left with 0 equals 13 plus y2. Then I'm going to subtract 13 on both sides. So I'm left with y2 equals negative 13. So my final answer, now I don't have any room underneath it, so I'm going to write it over here, is negative 8, negative 13. And I always box my final answers. Okay? And it should be in parentheses. Okay, this is the second way I'm going to show you, but then I'm going to show you one other way. Alright, so on the number line way, the way I look at it is I say, okay, from 10 to 1, I had to subtract 9. I had to go down 9, right? So I'm going to do the exact same thing here. So 1 minus 9 gives me negative 8. Then I look at the y, so I go from 13 to 0. To go from 13 to 0, I had to subtract 13. So I'm going to do the exact same thing here and subtract 13. So I will be left with negative 13. So notice that that's the same answer that we had a minute ago, which was negative 8, negative 13. Okay, the very last example for midpoint is example 3. And midpoint is at 1, 2. And the endpoint is at 4, 3, whereas the other endpoint. So I showed you how to do it using the formula, and I showed you how to do it using the number line. This time we're going to use the graph. So midpoint is at 1, 2. So you're going to plot it on the graph. It's kind of hard to do on here. And the endpoint is at 4, 3. So it's here. And I always make sure I remember that this is the midpoint. So if that's the midpoint, I have to count my slope to figure out how I went from the end point to the midpoint. So to get from here to here, I had to go down 1 and over 3. So I'm going to do the exact same thing. I'm going to go down 1 and over 3 to this point here. So my answer would be negative 2, 1. And that's it.